Hello, Haunted Family. Welcome back. Story 1. Brass Frog. My husband thought I was crazy, and my best friend laughed over it. Our husbands had gone fishing, something which was the norm. As usual, Deb and I rented some movies. She was a bit older than I, and her teenage children were out for the evening. We both had fallen asleep watching movies, Deb on the floor and me on the couch. I woke up first, and on the coffee table was a brass frog. It hadn't been there when I'd fallen asleep. It was positioned so that it was staring right at me. As you can imagine, it was unnerving. But the worst came after. Later that night, I borrowed a book from Deb's youngest son. I was reading it, while my husband was sprawled across the bed. When I got up to use the bathroom, I laid the book on the bed, only to find it missing when I returned. I tore the bedroom apart looking for it, to the point of lifting the mattress off the bed. A week later, my husband found it, in between the mattress and the headboard. There were also nights when I would wake up with the feeling of being watched. Too terrified to move. Once I got the courage to wake my husband up, the feeling was gone. This happened at least once or twice a week. By this point, my husband knew I wasn't imagining things, because of how often I would wake him up. Once we moved, there were no other occurrences. But I will never forget that brass frog staring at me. It's burned into my memory. Story 2. The Shadow. We lived in a nice little house. But as far back as I can remember, every night I would stay awake, scared of what was going to happen in the hallway that connected my parents' room and my room. My parents always kept their doorway open, as did I. I was a little kid, and I was always afraid of the dark, so I never shut my door either. I don't know exactly what I saw, but I know that I saw something every single night. There was a large shadow, a head staring at me from across the hallway. I know something was there because it had defined eyes, nose, and a mouth. It seemed like some kind of leader or something of those little black creatures. I would watch as the head would actually whisper to these little creatures, and then the mouth would open and close. All I heard was the sound of flowing air. The worst part is, though, that these little black creatures would run across the hall after a few minutes and then enter my room. They ran like monkeys, for lack of a better comparison, and they would run straight in and walk around my room for a couple seconds, and then they would run into a dark spot under my desk and disappear. It happened every night until I moved away 10 years ago. This seemed so strange to me. They never made direct contact with me, probably because I never confronted them. I never told them to leave. Nothing like that. My parents didn't believe me, though. They said I was just seeing shadows of trees. But oddly enough, the windows in my parents' room were on the back side of the house. Directly next to a neighbor's house, there was no light coming in. No trees. I still don't know what to make of this, or what they really were. I haven't seen it since. And I'm certain that it has something to do with that odd little house. Story 3. Just a feeling. When I was in college, my friend group was rather big. There was 10 or so of us. We always went to lunch together at the cafeteria across campus every day. Outside of the atrium, which we had to go through to get to the cafeteria, there were bushes running alongside of the pathway. So we were walking in this group in twos. There were maybe 4 or 5 groups of us. In a long, trailing group. The first group walks between the bushes and keeps going. But as soon as my group walks between the bushes, we all kind of just stopped. The most uneasy feeling just washes over me. And I'm a bit disoriented. The other guys felt it too. And then it kind of hits us, all at once, that someone is missing. But we can't remember who it is or anything about them. We do a head count, and we're all there. But we're all just swearing that there was one more person that's now just gone. We catch up with the first group, and we ask them, and they have no idea what we're talking about. It's one of the weirdest things that's ever happened to me. I believe in the supernatural, but it takes an incredibly skeptic view of it. And I can't explain this. Also, in that same area, a lamppost just appeared overnight one time. No one in the group could remember it being there before. We walk this path every single day. The group I was in, when whoever it was disappeared, decided to take the long way from then on. And I avoided that area like the plague. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the stories. If you did, leave me a message down below. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to. I love hearing from you. Thanks for listening. Bye. Music by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio.